Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today we will be learning about remember function in Jetpack Compose. Remember function is used to remember the state across recomposition of the composable function. In simpler terms, it means that it is telling Compose to keep track of some information like a number, a text, or any piece of data so it doesn't get lost or reset every time the app updates the screen. Now let's learn this with an example. We will be using this function which I have created to understand the remember function. Let's break down this function. This function is responsible for the user interface which you see on this device. This function arranges the elements on this screen in a vertical column. At the top of this column there is a text display and right below it is a button, as you can see on the UI. The text shows a number which we call counter, and this counter is a special kind of variable that can change its value. We use a special function called mutable state of to make this variable reactive, meaning Compose will keep an eye on its value and notices any changes. So in this setup, whenever you click the button, you add 1 to the counter's value. Because counter is reactive, any changes in its value signals this text to recompose. So after you click the button, the text display recompose to show the new value of the counter. Now let's click the button which should update the text with new value. However, as we observe, it's not updating the text with the new value. To figure out what's going on, let's open the logcat and check if the button clicks are being registered. As we observe, the button clicks are indeed being registered because we can see the statement being printed in the logcat. But if you look closely at the logcat messages, you'll notice that the counter value is not changing. It stays the same. Now what could be the cause of this issue? The issue we are encountering is linked to recomposition. We know when we click the button, it updates the state of the counter. And since this counter is being observed, it will initiate recomposition. Now let's delve into how recomposition might be causing this problem. For that, we will use a debugger to get a closer look. To attach a debugger, click on the icon that looks like a bug with an arrow. After clicking, a window will appear, and in this window you will select the package name of your app, which is listed under the name of the device where your app is running, and click OK. Next, we select the breakpoints, the specific points in the code where we want the debugger to pause the running program. For our case, we want it to pause when the button is clicked and when the text is displayed, and also at the beginning of the function, because this will help us understand if this function is being triggered again. After attaching the debugger, when you press the button, this debugger will pause the program at this specific breakpoint and it will open this debug window. In this window, you can examine variables or run different functions. Now here we will examine the counter variable. Type counter and press enter and click on this result to see its value, which should be 1 after the button click. And clicking this resume program button will advance you to the next breakpoint if there is one. Now the expected breakpoint should be the beginning of the function, which is this line. And so if we click this resume program button, it should take you to that beginning of the function, and this means that the function is being recomposed. And continuing the program should take you to this text display breakpoint. And here notice the counter's value is 0. This suggests that during recomposition, the counter is being reset to 0, which means the previous counter value is lost. This non-responding dialog that you see here is because of the debugger that we have attached to this emulator. And if you want to continue using this debugger, select wait. And if you don't want, you can either press this stop button or the stop button here, and then that dialog will disappear. Now we have identified that the counter value is being reset to 0 and we need a way to preserve its previous value. For that we can use the remember function. To apply it, type remember and import it and place this mutable state of inside the remember function. And this way this counter will remember its value even when the UI is redrawn. So remember function helps us to retain the value across recomposition. If you correctly imported the remember function, then you will not see any error here. So the correct import for remember function is this: androidx.compose.runtime.remember. Now let's run the app, this time using the remember function. Let's click the button and you will see the text display is now updated with the incremented value. So if you want data from being reset during recomposition, you should utilize the remember function. In this video, we learned about remember function, why we need it, how to use it, and we also learned how to attach debugger to debug issues. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and subscribe for more future content. Thank you.